and to become those who meet their full potential, as we'll hear about tonight. We're zeichet to have Rabbi Yaacov Goodman, who, at least when he's around us, sits in the shadows of his brother, Rabbi Pesach, but Baruch Hashem, all the way from Eretz Yisrael, to teach us about Inyanei Chinuch, which we're very, very involved in, and b'siyat d'shmaya, we shall be nis'ayir from it, learn from it for the Inyanei Chinuch, and be malamed ourselves and our children for turn year Shemayim. And there's the part of a whole entire Shabbos in various other, a bunch of different shows, Young Israel and in Sharik, v'chulu. So Rabbi Goodman, Rabbi Pinkus will be around, and b'siyat they should be very matzlich and all their avodas hakodesh. Okay.
Good evening. First, I'd like to begin thanking the Rosh Kollel and the Kollel for hosting myself and Epic Family this evening. For those who don't know me, I'll give a quick introduction. Hashem. I grew up here in South Florida. My brother might say I didn't grow up yet, but technically I grew up here in South Florida. And when I was growing up, there wasn't any Kollelim around, or any Chadorim around, any Beis Yaakov was around. And it's really beautiful to see the Makom Torah, especially up here with the Kollel at its center, that Miami in South Florida has turned into. Bez Hashem, the Kollel and the Kehila should go Michal and grow even stronger, even bigger, and to make us even to a bigger Makom Torah of Bez Hashem. A little shy of 40 years ago, I went to Eretz Yisrael for a year. My mother's still waiting for me to finish my year, but I was always late for dinner. And after spending several years in Kollel, I started an organization with the backing of my Rabbi, Rav Moshe Shapiro Zatzal, and the organization, our name really describes who we are. As you heard, the name is Epic Families, we know as Yedidim, but Epic is Roshei Tevas, empowering parents, inspiring children. Because everything we do falls under one of those two categories. We primarily work with American families who live in Eretz Yisrael. With our therapeutic mentoring program, we help children and teens who are struggling with different difficulties. We give them the tools to overcome their trials and tribulations. We give them the tools to be able to succeed in life, Be'ezus Hashem. With our parental guidance center, we give consultations to parents and even therapy when needed on parenting issues. We even have an Aliyah guidance center where people, before they move to Eretz Yisrael, contact us. We help them find the right community and the right school system, which is matim for their family. We found that many people move to Eretz Yisrael and they don't understand the nuances of the different systems, the different Chadorim, the different Beis Yaakovs, so we help them make that right choice. And one of our popular programs in Eretz Yisrael was our Shabbos Chinuch retreat. We used to go to a hotel for Shabbos. We had Rabbanim would come, we had Rabbi Leff and Rabbi Elephant and others, with also educators and professionals come spend a whole Shabbos hearing classes about Chinuch Banim, Shalom Bayis, and other topics. It was a tremendous success, Baruch Hashem. Until several years ago, we decided to take it on the road in a similar fashion. And Baruch Hashem, we've been in Los Angeles, Chicago, different places in New York. We've been well received and always warmly welcomed back. And Baruch Hashem, I'm happy to finally be able to bring this program a little bit to North Miami Beach over this coming Shabbos, Be'ezus Hashem. In this week's Parsha, we learn about the Petira of Yaakov Avinu. He's taken tomorrow some Machpelah. And not only that, we also learn, Chazal teach us about the head of Esav ending up in the Oros Machpelah. And which was a big schus for Esav, that he had his head in the Oros Machpelah. However, the schus, he could have had even a bigger schus, which he missed out on. Rav Dessler and others tell us that Esav had the ability, had the potential to become one of the Avos. He could have also been Avos Shvat. He could have had 6 Shvatim. He could have shared it with Yaakov. Imagine, we'd be davening Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Esav. That could have been our tefillah. Right? When we say who the forefathers were, it wouldn't be a joke anymore. Forefathers, it'd be taka forefathers. But that's not what happened. Esav couldn't overcome his Yetzer Hara to be able to realize his potential, to be able to grow and become one of the others. So where did this happen? How did it turn to be that Esav had the potential to becoming Esav Avinu? He ended up becoming Esav Harasha. So the pasuk says, we know after Am Avinu was nifter, Esav comes into the house and he sees this nice, red, beautiful pot of beans cooking on the stove. Vayomer Esav el Yaakov, Hariteni no min ha'adam ha'adam hazeh. Give me from this red stuff you have here. Ki oyef anochi. Al kain kara shmoi Edom. And therefore he called his name Edom. Medayik l'Orachaim HaKodesh. The pasuk doesn't say Al kain nikra shmoi Edom. Al kain karu shmoi Edom. It says, therefore he who called himself Edom. Who is the he? Who called him Edom? Who gave Esav the name Edom? Says the Chaim HaKodesh that Esav himself gave himself the name Edom. He called himself Edom. Akein Karish Shmo is going on himself. He called himself Edom. We know in Lashon HaKodesh, that the name describes the essence of the person, the essence of the being. How does Edom, the color red, describe Esav? So unfortunately, the Rashbam, the Ramban, all this, you see that the learning that what Esav was saying is that I see red, I see food coloring, I see taivas. I can't control my Yetzer Hara. I can't control. I have to go after the Adom Hazeh. I have to eat it. I have to do it. I don't care about B'chayri. I don't care about anything else. Just give me my Olam Hazeh. Once Esav labeled himself as someone who can't reach his potential, someone who can't fight his Yetzer Hara, that was his downfall. That's once he labeled himself, he saw. Once he labeled himself, he saw that he can't succeed. This is who he is. Lamaisa, we all have a little bit of Esav within us. But we have to uproot it as much as possible, especially this Shayresh. Every individual has a potential for greatness. We all know that when it comes to business, I want to be the best doctor, I want to be a successful lawyer, I want to be a good businessman. Everybody has no problem trying to reach their potential. But do we feel the same way in Ruchnius? Do we feel the Ruchnius I can also spend the time that when I'm Kaveh Itim, that I'm going to give it my best in my davening, in being involved in the community? Do we feel that we have the potential for that? We can't downplay ourselves. We have to realize that we have tremendous potential in all areas, and we can be able to work in all areas. Esav could have been Esav Avinu. He could have given birth to 6 Shvatim. Instead, what happened? He gave birth to a son Amalek, who Rishoyim, like Hitler Yamach Shemo, came out of him. What a dramatic change. He could have been one of the Avos, but because he didn't believe in himself, because he didn't believe in his potential, that's what caused him instead to become Esav Harasha. Rav Tzadok of Lublin writes, Kishem shetzorach odom lahamin b'Hashem yisborach, kach tzorach achar kach lahamin ba'atzmo. Just like a person has to believe in Hashem, so too he has to believe in himself. It's amazing. Rav Tzadok is comparing Emunah b'Hashem to Emunah in himself. What's the pshat? The pshat is that person's maimin b'Hashem. He knows that Hashem created the world for a reason. There's a purpose in this world. And he believes that every person has a potential, unique potential just for him. And if he doesn't believe in his potential, that's already chasron in Emunah b'Hashem, the whole purpose of creation. Because Hashem created us all with our own potential. And not only does a person who doesn't believe in his potential can't reach it, But the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, "Al tia rosha b'fnei atzimcha." Don't be a Russia in your eyes. The Rambam explains in the Mishnayos, "K'sheyachshav odam atzmo yichoser upachos lo yigodol be'einav chisoron sheyasuhu." When a person thinks of himself as lacking and lowly, there's nothing bad that he wouldn't do. If a person doesn't hold of himself, he could go off and do anything. So a person has to realize their own self-worth, their own potential of what they can accomplish. It's an amazing story of the Chazon Ish once. At times the Chazon Ish, a Bacher came to Eretz Yisrael to learn, which was very rare in those days. And he was learning in a yeshiva. And he started doing things that weren't so appropriate. His brother, who was learning in Eretz Yisrael, went to the Chazon Ish and asked him, my brother's doing these things. Should he stay here? Should he go back to America? In America, he might do even worse things. The Chazon Ish told him, send him back to America. And he was worried, like why? Eretz Yisrael. He said, yeah, but here he's with a certain chevra. When he's with this chevra, he's going to feel that he's looked down upon. He's going to feel looked down upon. He's going to not feel good about himself. If he doesn't feel good about himself, then he won't reach his potential. Whereas in America, which is a little broader, he won't necessarily feel like that. And Be'ez Hashem, even if in the beginning he does things that are not as appropriate, even more than he would do here, but he'll still hold of himself. He could still reach his potential. And that's what you have to worry about. Unbelievable story. However, I want to take it another step. We're going to see in next week's Parsha, when Moshe Rabbeinu is called to the snare, Hashem talks to him, Hashem gives him a whole list of what's going to happen. He tells Moshe to tell them, Pokol Pakati Yeschem. The sign that Klal Yisrael is waiting for, you should tell them. And Hashem tells Moshe, tell them I'm going to take you up to Eretz Yisrael. And Hashem tells Moshe, they're going to listen to your voice. And Hashem tells Moshe, you go to Paro and tell him till you go for 3 days. And then I'm going to tell you now that Paro's going to tell you no. And then you're going to end up bringing Esser Makos on Mitzrayim. And then you're going to finally take you out of Mitzrayim. And not only that, before you go, you're going to find Chain in the eyes of the Mitzrayim. You're going to go out with all their gold and silver. At the Sneh, Hashem spells it all out for him. Tells him everything that's going to happen. And what's Moshe Rabbeinu's response to this? You think, Moshe Rabbeinu's response is, but they're not going to believe in me. They're not going to believe me. That I can't take them out of Mitzrayim. They're not going to believe me. So Hashem says, okay, don't worry. He gives him not one, not two, but 3 signs to show Klal Yisrael. 3 signs to show Klal Yisrael to believe that he's going to send from Hashem to take them out of Mitzrayim. Now, if you think about this, it's a little strange. Hashem just told Moshe Rabbeinu everything that's going to happen. Why does Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu? It says, Moshe Rabbeinu, I just told you, listen up. I told you they're going to believe you. Why did he just tell Moshe Rabbeinu that? It says, don't worry about it. Instead, he gives him signs to tell Klal Yisrael. So I heard a tremendous shot from Rav Zev Lev Shlita. Rav Lev explained that if a parent, a teacher, somebody doesn't believe in a student and a child, then that student or child can't reach their potential. If a leader doesn't believe in who he's leading, then the people will not be able to reach their potential. It's mind-boggling. That if you don't believe in the potential of the children, they won't reach it. And it's a tremendous responsibility. If we don't believe in our potential, so it affects ourselves. But if we don't believe in the potential of our children and our Talmidim and our students, we are selling them short. And the this idea from the left is Das Torah, we believe it, but there's been even psychology has researched it. It's called the Pygmalion effect, also known as the Rosenthal effect. And I'm going to go into the study because if we have Das Torah, we don't have to discuss the psychological things, but there's even been study about the effect of believing in children and not believing them where they won't reach their potential. So I want to discuss some different tools that can help us believe in ourselves so we can bring out our potential, and also believe in our children, in our students, to help them reach their potential. I'm going to touch, there's several things. I'm going to touch a few. Actually, Shabbos afternoon we might discuss other points. But for now, I'd like to discuss, first of all, in this week's Parsha, when Yaakov Avinu is giving Teichocha to Shimon v'Levi, he tells them, Ora apam ki oz evrosam ki koshosa. Yaakov Avinu is telling Shimon and Levi, Ora apam, your anger is cursed. Says Rashi, Ora apam, afilu bishas teichocha, lo kilo el es apam. Rashi is telling us that Yaakov Avinu is telling us a lesson in Chinuch, that even if you have to give teichocha to your children, he didn't tell them that you're angry people. He didn't label them like his brother Esav used to do. He didn't give them labels. He blamed the anger. There's an anger there, right? This is before modern psychology. Maskasha tells you, don't call your child a liar. He said a lie. Don't call your child, he's a bad boy. He did something bad. We see this from Yaakov Avinu already, where he talked to Shimon and Levi. Rashi is telling us that he was only makalo their anger, but not they themselves per se. A tremendous lesson that to make sure that children don't feel bad about themselves is that we don't label them. That's what we learned from Esav, who labeled himself and therefore wasn't able to reach his potential. Another point is that many times people get discouraged about reaching their potential because they look at other people. Wow, look at that guy. He's steiging away. He's doing great. This guy, he's such an askin. He knows how to handle people. And they get discouraged. But people think they see other things. People think, but they don't realize that they're not necessarily seeing the right thing. Rashi tells us a tremendous limud. The pasuk in supposed to see many times, sometimes it says Moshe v'Aaron, and sometimes it says Aaron v'Moshe. And Rashi teaches us that the reason is to tell us that Moshe and Aaron were at the same madrega. They reached the same level. And that's why the pasuk to teach sometimes switches Moshe and Aaron around. This is amazing. I mean, Aaron HaKohen was Gavala, big tzaddik, 100%. Halavai would be a little teeny fraction on Aaron HaKohen. But to say it's the same level as a Moshe Rabbeinu, that said, the Torah tells us never anybody like Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu, where Hashem spoke to him, Nevuah, directly, unlike any other Nevi'im, and he came to him at any time. Moshe Rabbeinu that was in Shemaim twice for 40 days to bring down the Torah, he took Klal Yisrael and Mitzrayim, led them through the Midbar. You're going to say they were at the same darga? How can that be? So Moshe Feinstein explains, according to a Gemara that says one time Rabbi Yosef was sick. He was sick. He was a comatose. And one time he came back, they realized that Rabbi Yosef was in a different world. So they asked him when he got better, what did you see up there? And Rabbi Yosef explains, he said, Oilam hafuch re'isi, el yoinim lamata v'tachtoinim lamala. I saw an upside down world. I saw El Yonim, people that we thought here were Gedolim and Tzadikim. They're always sitting on the Mizrach front. There they were Tachtoinim. But people that we thought were simple people here, they're the El Yonim. So what's Pshat in this Gemara? So, and not only that, why did he call it an upside down world? He said he should have seen a Olam HaEmes. Down here, I guess we're all sheker. We don't know what's going on. Why upside down? So the answer is, we have to understand, how do we measure someone's tzaddik? What's the parameters to measure someone's tzaddik? Calling for a shidduch, is he a tzaddik? He's a tzaddik. What parameters are used to define if someone is a tzaddik or he's not a tzaddik? Where do we set it? Is he like the Vilna Gaon, the Chafetz Chaim? How do we define, how do we measure tzaddik? So the answer is that everyone is born with a mission in life, as we spoke about. And everyone has the potential to fulfill that mission. And according to how he fulfills that mission, that defines is he a tzaddik. You can have a person who gives $1 million to tzedakah, and everybody goes, ooh, gewaldig. You can have someone else gives $1,000 to tzedakah. I'm saying, oh, very nice, nice. But when you come to Shemayim, the person that gave $1 million, he's going to get an einish for giving $1 million. And the person that gave $1,000, he'll get a mizrach front, he'll get mamish, unbelievable in Shemayim for giving that $1,000. Why? Because the person that gave $1 million, his potential is to give $5 million. And the person that gave 1,000, his potential is 1,000. So the one who gave 1 million fell short of his potential. The one who gave 1,000 reached his potential. So Moshe and Aaron, if you look at them as a group, Vadai, for sure Moshe Rabbeinu looked better, he was bigger. But what Rashi's telling us is that when it came to reaching their potential, they were equal. They reached their potential. For sure they did different things. For sure they were not the same. Hashem didn't talk to Aaron HaKohen, panim el panim, at any time like Moshe Rabbeinu. But that wasn't his tafkid. That wasn't his potential. He reached what his potential was. So that's the lesson for Rashi. We can't look at people and compare ourselves to other people. Person say, oh, I'm doing great. And look at this guy. You know? Or a person might get down. Oh, look at that guy. I can't reach him. You don't know what your potential is. You don't know what his potential is. We have this terrible thing that left over from the Yevonim called the Olympics, where the whole lifestyle is about competing against each other. We can't compete against each other. This is not a race. That's not how Hashem created us. Hashem created each person with his own journey. Every person has his own journey, has to fill his own potential. And that's what he has to do. Not so long ago I was learning my Chavrusa's Gemara in Sanhedrin, and something unbelievable hit me. So I'm learning the sugya, was learning the sugya then of Yarvi al Yavor, and the Gemara says that right, if somebody comes to you and says, kill Pliny, also going to kill you, so you have to kill Pliny. You can't, you have to let yourself be killed. Yarvi al Yavor. You're not allowed to kill Pliny. Why? The Gemara says, Mi yemen the dama didach samuk tvei, dilma dama dahu gavrus samuk tvei. Who says that your blood is redder than his? So what does that mean? We're talking about red? What does that mean? Says Rashi, listen to this Rashi. Mi yoidea she dama chavi v'nol yoytzucha yoyse midam chavircha. Who knows if your dam is more chaviv, is more precious and more enjoyed to Ribbon Yisrael more than the dam of your chaver? You don't know who Hashem is getting more nachas from. You have no idea. So therefore, it's also for you to kill somebody else. You have to let yourself be killed. This is amazing. The halacha doesn't differentiate between people. Imagine this. Somebody comes to the Chafetz Chaim and tells the Chafetz Chaim, listen, Chafetz Chaim, kill Beryl or we're going to kill you. Now, let me tell you about this Beryl. This Beryl, sometimes he comes to davening, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he speaks Lashon Hara, sometimes he speaks Lashon Hara. Okay, he's definitely not like the Chafetz Chaim. So the Chafetz Chaim could think, 1 second, hey, look at me. For sure Hashem is more nachas from me than from him. It's also for the Chafetz Chaim to kill him. Why? Because who says that Hashem gets more nachas from him than somebody else? We don't know what Beryl's potential is. We don't know what Beryl's nisyonis are. We don't know what they are. Maybe what he's doing is more chaviv to Hashem. It's more, this is Beryl's journey, this is your journey. So this is what we have to do. The Chafetz Chaim is usher to kill him because we don't know the potential. So we can't compare ourselves to other people. We have to make our own cheshbon nefesh. What is my potential? On one hand, we can't sell ourselves short. On the other, we can't, we have to make an emes. What is our potential? What can we do? And this is a lesson. It's an amazing Rashi. But the problem is, we mentioned that we live in a society where everything is to compete against each other. And it's a problem in our school system. You know, we have to deal with this with our children sometimes. Our school system a lot of times matches up kids against each other, which is not a very healthy thing. It's not the Hashkafa HaTorah. Our story from Moshe Tov Yalif, I'll end with this. Moshe Tov Yalif said a story, I think he said he heard directly from the person, from a 5th grade Rabbi in I think he said Bnei Brak, that one time someone came over to him, and Avrei came over to him and says, Rabbi, you saved my life. Because of you, I made 2 Simam Shas with Rishonim and Achronim, and Mamish, because of you. He barely remembered it. What do you mean because of me? He says, you remember I was in your class, and in your class there was once a meeting, the Hanhola decided that they had to up the ante in the school, they had to raise the level, and they said whoever gets under a 65, you have to mark on the test in big letters, 65, Nichshal, failed. And therefore the students will be embarrassed, they won't get in, they're going to shape up. And this Rebbe didn't want to do it, but he had no choice. So he already had one boy, he wrote 65 like he was told to write. And then he wrote a note, Aval ani v'hayeled, I and the boy, and Hashem knows how much effort he put into this. And when he came home, his parents saw that note and realized that his son was trying. So the parents encouraged him, and he was encouraged. They didn't put him down. And because they praised his effort, and they didn't praise his score, he said that's what kept him in learning to keep trying, till he was finally able to steig away and finish Shas. So Be'ez Hashem, we should be zeiche to understand what our own potential is and the potential of our children and Talmidim, and have much nachas from all of them.